Hello and welcome to this edition of the Airport News Show, a half-hour program about the Jacksonville Aviation Authority. I'm Debbie Jones, Community Relations Administrator. How do you market a 4-airport system? Well, we're going to find out a little bit about that on today's show, and so I want to get right in and introduce my two very special guests who will walk us through that process. First of all, Ms. Rosa Beckett, who is the Director of Marketing for the Aviation Authority. Welcome, Rosa.
Thank you.
And next to you is Mr. Todd Lindner, who is the Administrator of Planning and Development at the Authority. Welcome, Todd.
Thank you.
Well, we have obviously a 4-airport system at the Aviation Authority, and there's a lot involved and a lot available for people to come and do business. So, Rosa, before we get into the details, tell us a little bit about Director of Marketing. What is that, and what is your role in that regard?
Well, I serve as the Director of Marketing for the Aviation Authority, and as you mentioned, we do have a 4-airport system, which includes 4 very diverse airports. You have JAX International, which really focuses on our commercial services. We primarily focus on providing air service to the residents of Northeast Florida and Southeast Georgia. Then we have Craig Airport, which really focuses on general aviation, more of your corporate jets coming in and out of Craig Airport. We also have pilot flight training schools out at Craig Airport. We have Herlong Airport, which is on the west side. That's more of your recreational airport, where you'll have your smaller general aviation aircraft, and you have your skydivers and your balloon and your general aviation enthusiasts that fly out of Herlong Airport. And then, of course, we have Cecil Field, which was the former military base on the west side, and that's more of an industrial airport where we have major manufacturing, repair, and overhaul facilities. And we also support a lot of military activity out there with the U.S. Army National Guard, the U.S. Coast Guard out at Cecil Field. So when you look at 4 very unique airports within the Airport Authority, we have a very unique set of assets, meaning facilities and land. So we have to look at the purpose for each airport and try to target both our end users and our tenants for those facilities.
And that's your job, is to make that possible for all the people that want to come out and take advantage of some of those assets.
That's correct. When you look at JAX International, one of the major areas that we really need to focus on is really getting airlines to come and actually provide service to the residents of Jacksonville and Northeast Florida. So we have an air trade development manager that actually gets in front of your route planners at the airlines and promote Jacksonville. They can look at statistical data as far as the number of people who live in the market, but what we're trying to do is actually get in front of those decision makers and sell them on the benefits of Jacksonville and the region. So when they're looking at just numbers, we want to invite them to Jacksonville so they can be familiar with some of the amenities that we have in Jacksonville. We have a major NFL team. We host the TPC. We have a number of major sporting events. We just hosted the NCAA basketball series, one of those series in Jacksonville. So those are the types of things we want to give as additional information to airlines so they can provide services out of JAX International.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that, but Todd, I wanted to, you are the Administrator of Planning and Development. Tell me a little bit about what does that mean as far as the 4 airports and the property and assets that are available there? Well,
as Rosa mentioned, we're made up of a 4-airport system. And for each one of those airports, as Rosa said, they each have their own identities. They each have their own role. With that comes their own level of planning that's required for each one of those airports, and determining the land use and the zoning for each one of those airports to fit the roles.
So I imagine you really have to work together, because when you're marketing something, it has to be allowed or able to be used and developed in accordance with the planning side of it.
That's correct, Debbie. When you look at Cecil Field is a major piece of property in the area. Both the Jacksonville Aviation Authority and the City of Jacksonville are major landowners out at Cecil Commerce Center. So with the Aviation Authority owning over 6,000 acres out there, we really have to first preserve what the use of Cecil Field is, which is for aeronautical purposes. So Todd's group really looks at the airport master planning for Cecil Field, which is really aviation related. And then we can look at the excess land that we won't need necessarily for aeronautical development, whether it's not directly on the flight line, but we can have some adjacency businesses that support some aviation activity. We have major maintenance, repair, and overhaul. Some of their suppliers could be located out at Cecil. But again, we have to first reserve the use of that airport for aviation-related activity. And that's key that it fits into our planning department's master planning process.
Now, when we talk about master plan, Todd, each airport has their own master plan. What is the purpose of a master plan? I'm sure the development plays in, and how often are these master plans updated or
A master plan is typically updated either between 5 and 7 years. And the purpose of a master plan is to first inventory and determine what is available at that particular airport from a land perspective, from the perspective of having available tools on site, facilities, that type of thing, and also to forecast and project the number of operations that are going to be conducted at that airport from an aeronautical perspective. Along with that, then, you also have to look at what the demand and capacity of that airfield is going to be, what the role of the airfield is going to be, and then project a plan for that airfield, for that airport over the next 20 years is the typical time frame that we use.
So it's a look ahead of 20 years in the future, but you're going back and updating it every 5 to 7 years because I guess things change.
That's correct. It's every 5 to 7 years we're looking into a 20-year window. And like you said, things change, and as things change, we modify that master plan to reflect those changes. And then in turn, we work with Rosa and her group to show her those changes where they can fill the properties with the needed facilities that are going to be needed.
Now, part of that planning, I know zoning is real important. So in those airport environs and properties, the zoning is already done, or is that part of what marketing has to do to make any zoning changes for the development of those properties?
In some cases, what will happen is the zoning is already done. Okay. In some cases. In other cases, Rosa will come to us and say, you know, we have a potential tenant for this particular location. The zoning is whatever it may be, and it may need to be changed. And at that point in time, we will take the steps necessary to try to modify and change the zoning to accommodate the proposed tenant. Still
keeping it within the overall master plan usage of the airport properties.
Yes.
Well, back to the marketing thing, what are some of the strategies? Because each airport is so different and unique in what it offers to our community. What are some of the strategies that marketing is using or will use to get the word out?
With marketing, what we do is we look at the unique profile of each airport. Let's say with Jax International, again, because it's a passenger service airport, we want to focus at airport to consumer or airport to end user type marketing. And of course, we all know that electronic media now is on the uptick very drastically. So we're looking at revamping our website, getting into some of the mobile applications where we integrate announcements into smartphone applications. We're also looking at the demographics of our travelers using local print media. When you look at Cecil Field, where we are a major landowner, we have the opportunity to host major facilities that really will serve as an economic impact for the a major economic driver for the region. So targeting companies that will actually come in and put manufacturing aviation facilities out there that will employ people of Jacksonville. Also looking at the opportunity to have military support activity out there, whether it's the Coast Guard that may expand some activities out there, or the Air National Guard, or any of those types of military. With Craig Field, of course, that's a corporate aircraft facility. Most of your corporate jets will fly out of Craig Airport. So we have fixed space operators out there that actually have facilities where they can house corporate aircraft. They can provide fueling for that aircraft. And so we would work with them to promote the availability of facilities that they have out at Craig Airport. And the same with Herlong Airport. There's skydiving activities out there. We recently provided some information to Visit Jazz, who target visitors to Jacksonville. And if they're interested in skydiving, they can have a link into Herlong Airport and the provider of that service out at Herlong Airport.
So it sounds like we're not an island in marketing our airport system. It seems like in some of the things you've mentioned, there's a real collaboration and team approach to marketing not just our airport system, but Jacksonville itself.
That's correct, Debbie. Again, when you look at the economic impact that the airport system actually has on the region, it has to be a collaborative effort. We team up with the Regional Chamber of Commerce. We team up with Visit Jacksonville, North Florida Hotel Motel Association. Again, air travel is so critical to business development and economic development. So we really do take a team approach in working on promoting the airport and promoting the region as a whole.
And do you find that that this is something that's proven to be successful, not just for the airport, but for the other players, Visit Jacksonville and the Chamber of Commerce? Are you getting some positive feedback and returns on the collaboration?
Yes, you know, again, when we look at the use of a hotel facility, most of those patrons of that hotel, a lot of them will fly into our airport, so it makes good sense for us to partner with them to promote our area, because there's a reciprocal benefit between us and the hotels in the area. The same thing when you look at the Jacksonville Jaguar games, we as an airport authority would want to support the Jaguars, because when games are played, that's more travelers into our airport, and also more users of our general aviation facilities as well.
And so that's really interesting and encouraging to hear, because a lot of times the airport is the very first and last impression that people have, and in helping with these events, to your point, brings in more visitors, and that only benefits the entire area. So we're about to take a break, and when we come back, I'd really like to spend a little bit more time on marketing efforts at our other airports besides the air service, and talk about a little space-y stuff going on out at Cecil Field. So don't go away. We'll be right back talking about marketing the 4 airport system at Jacksonville Aviation Authority.
Hi, I'm Albert Pujols, and I play baseball. Today I'm going to bat for kids who need dental care. Every child should be able to eat, sleep, and learn. Well, that's pretty hard to do when you have a toothache. Do you know that tooth decay is one of the leading reasons why kids miss school? And it can lead to other health problems too. Let's end this silent epidemic. The American Dental Association Give Kids a Smile program wants to help. Kids cannot grow up to be healthy without good dental health. So let's help give kids a big smile.
To find dental care for your child, or to learn about our programs and events and the way that you can help give more kids a smile, please visit our website at givekidsasmile.aga.org.
Visit our website and give kids a smile.
Welcome back. On today's show, we're talking about marketing a 4 airport system that the JAA owns and operates. With me once again is Rosa Beckett, Director of Marketing for the Aviation Authority, and Mr. Todd Lindner, who's the Administrator of Planning and Development for the Jacksonville Aviation Authority. So in our first half, we were talking a bit about some of the marketing strategies and the wealth of assets that our 4 airport system offers to people. Now I want to come right to Cecil, since that's one of our larger airports with a lot of potential going